The silent love of a father every school year began the same way. New notebooks, fresh uniforms, bright, polished shoes lined neatly near the door. The children would wake up excited, trying on their new shoes, walking carefully across the floor, admiring how clean and perfect they looked. In the corner of the room stood their father. On his feet were the same old brown shoes. The leather was faded, the edges were cracked, the soles slightly uneven from years of walking. But every year, when it was time to shop, he never looked at the shoe section for himself. He only measured the children's feet. He worked as a delivery worker in a small town. Every day, before sunrise, those old shoes stepped onto dusty roads. They climbed bus steps. They stood for hours. They walked through heat and rain without complaint. At night, when he returned home, he carefully placed those shoes outside the door, wiping off the dirt with his hands. Inside, he asked about homework, checked school bags, made sure everything was ready for tomorrow. His love was quiet, practical, steady. One afternoon, while getting ready for school, his son noticed something. His own shoes were new again. Strong, shiny, comfortable. But his father's shoes looked thinner than ever. The stitching had begun to loosen. The color had nearly disappeared. For the first time, the boy wondered why. Why didn't his father buy new ones? Why did he always choose the cheapest things for himself? The thought passed quickly. Childhood moved fast. There were exams to prepare for, friends to meet, dreams to chase, and every year, without fail, new shoes appeared for the children. The father's shoes never changed. Years went by. The son grew taller, finished school, moved to the city for work. Life became busy, competitive, demanding. One evening after receiving his first real salary, he walked past a store window filled with expensive shoes. He stepped inside and bought a pair without hesitation. As he held the box in his hands, something unexpected filled his mind. A memory. Old brown shoes, cracked leather, dusty roads before sunrise. For the first time, he saw those shoes differently. They were not just old, they were sacrifices. He went home that weekend. The house felt smaller than he remembered. The walls carried years of effort. Near the door, he saw them again. The same shoes, now even more worn, softer at the edges, quiet witnesses of time. He picked them up gently. The soles were thin from thousands of steps. The leather carried deep creases from endless bending and lifting. Those shoes had walked to provide school fees. They had stood in long lines to pay bills. They had carried responsibility in silence. They had built his future. Suddenly, he understood something he had never seen as a child. His father never upgraded his own comfort because he was upgrading his children's lives. He gave up small luxuries to create bigger opportunities. He walked in worn shoes, so his children could run toward their dreams. That evening, he looked at his father's hands. Rough, strong, steady. The man had never spoken about struggle, never complained about tired feet, never asked for gratitude. His love had never been loud. It had been worn into leather, pressed into footsteps, hidden inside quiet responsibility. The son felt a deep wave of respect rise in his heart. He realized something powerful. Parents do not always show love with grand gestures. Sometimes they show it through what they refuse to buy for themselves, through what they quietly endure, through the comfort they give up so their children never have to. The next morning, as sunlight filled the doorway, the father prepared for work again. He bent down to wear the same old shoes, but this time the son truly saw them. Not as something old, but as something sacred, because those shoes had carried more than weight. They had carried love. Parents sacrifice comfort to build our future.